right, folks, the major pattern drivers going through winter, a strong negative PDO. We have very cool waters near the Baja California, but in the North Pacific, it's very warm. This is a negative PDO, a very strong signature for it. And weak La Nina, equatorial Pacific, the waters are starting to cool off a bit. We also factored in sunspots because we are seeing anomalously high sunspot count as we go throughout the peak of solar cycle 25. It has exceeded expectations, and data from the World Climate Service indicates below average snowfall during the winter when you have anomalously high snow and sunspot activity, that is. The atmosphere is responding like we are in a La Nina, even though the government hasn't officially declared it. You can see that we've transitioned from a positive phase of the multivariate index last winter into a negative phase or negative numbers developing. That means the atmosphere is saying, hey, we are in a La Nina mindset. So when we put all this together over the winter, we expect warmer than average temperatures from the Mississippi Valley all the way to the east, slightly cooler than average in the northwest. Best skiing will be in the Rockies. It'll be dry along the northwest coast, lots of rain in California, dry across the south, and a bit drier across much of the east, and a signature for some rain and snow events across the upper Mississippi Valley. Now, what are our 10-year historical averages when it comes to precipitation and snowfall, Braden?
Thanks, Chad. And as we look at our 10-year winter precipitation averages over the last decade, we can see Summersville and Beckley, we both saw 21 inches of average 10-year precipitation across those two areas. Same deal as we go from Bluefield into Lewisburg. Both of those locations checked in at 19 inches. Then Snowshoe was a winner as they checked in close to 30 inches of average winter precipitation over the last decade. Now, as we take a look at snowfall totals out there over the last 10 years, Summersville into Lewisburg saw similar amounts out there, 17 inches in Summersville, 18 inches in Lewisburg, higher amounts as you go across Bluefield. Checked in at 37 inches of 10-year average snowfall across Beckley. Then our winner, as usual, was Snowshoe, where they checked in close to 90 inches of average snowfall out there for the last 10 years. Speaking of snowfall, let's send things over to Chad Merrill for a look at our official 2024 snowfall outlook.
Indeed, Braden, we are going to give you an idea of what to expect this winter. How much rain, melted snow, and ice are we forecasting? About 18 inches in Beckley, 17 inches in Bluefield, 19 inches in Summersville, which are right on par with what happened last year. Now, Lewisburg, you're expecting about 17 and a half and 28 inches in Snowshoe, which really aren't too far off the mark from last winter. Now, you all want to know how much snow are we going to get? We are expecting 25 to 30 inches in Beckley, 21 to 25 inches in Bluefield, 16 to 20 inches in Summersville, not too far off the mark from last winter. Lewisburg, we expect you will get 7 to 12 inches, slightly more than last year. In Snowshoe, 78 to 90 inches. And last year, you had 72 and a half inches. Now, when is it going to snow this winter, Braden?
Yeah, Chad. Now, as we take a look at our common snowfall dates based off previous analog years we looked at, as we can see, our first snowfall really took place across the region during the first week of December. Then we have to wait a couple more weeks, and we do see a snow chance taking place around Christmas. Then we do see a mostly dry spell taking place the first couple weeks of January. Once snow as we go towards the middle of January before it ramps back up towards the last week of January. A couple of snowfall chances taking place towards February. Then as we can see, our second snowiest month of the winter takes place as we go into March. Now let's send things over to Chief Meteorologist Chad Merrill for a lowdown on our winter.
Thank you very much, Braden. So as you can see, very few opportunities for snow. And here's the lowdown as we go throughout the winter. Similar snow and precipitation amounts to last year. We just mentioned that. Several sustainable warm periods and rapid snow melt following these storms. So when we look at the analog years that we chose to represent this winter, and we look at December, through the first 15 days, temperatures straddling that near average mark. But look at this big dip right around Christmas time. Does that sound familiar from a couple of years ago? That's when we could see maybe a little bit of light snow right in time for the holiday. But we get that big dip, and then look at that, heading into the first day of January, kids go back to school in shorts, much warmer temperatures, and then we slide back a bit early January. But check it out, folks, a pretty sustainable warm pattern from about January 10th close to the end of the month. So pretty warm middle part of the winter. And then we take a big dive right in time for Groundhog Day. Big warm stretch in the middle of February, it looks like. Start to transition maybe to near average temperatures, at least for February, by Valentine's Day. And we're off to the races at the end of February and March. Wow, when you see these big temperature swings, you can also expect more joint pain because more atmospheric pressure differences. Big dip early March, big spike, big dip. We're kind of in that transition period right around St. Patrick's Day, and then a pretty warm end of the month of March. So once again, we've got some big temperature swings, no sustainable cold periods, a couple of snows that'll add up to similar to last year, but overall, pretty mild winter across the region, and we could desperately use the snow and the rain because of how dry the summer and the early part of the fall season has been. All right, for myself, Chief Meteorologist Chad Merrill, and our very own
forecaster Braden Petrie.
That's your winter outlook here on Newswatch. All right, folks, so the bottom line is snowfall is going to be even below our 10-year averages. We're going to have lots of warm periods, but when we get those dips, it's going to get cold and windy for a couple of days, and then we are off to the races once again. You can thank the negative PDO and the La Nina. If you're a winter weather lover, I'm sorry, not looking like your year this year, but we will continue to follow the trends, of course, as we go throughout the rest of the fall and into the winter season through the early part of the spring.